Hello, everybody. Hopefully, you should all be joining the Cisco Certified Support Technician webinar. Hi, I'm Andrew Smith. Also, we've got Elizabeth, Rebecca, and Elaine on camera, as well as my good self. I'm about to start sharing my screen, so I'm going to do the famous "Can you see my screen?" thing. So if you could just type in the chat that you can see the screen, that would be greatly appreciated.
Not yet. I think we're seeing it on your other screen.
Okay, I did type it to say share my screen, but thank you very much, Elizabeth. So let's do that. Can you all see my screen now?
Yes.
There you go. See, I did threaten that the technology would catch me out. Thank you, Elizabeth. So, hi. Welcome to webinar on Monday, the 17th of February. We're going to explore the Cisco Certified Support Technician, or CCST, which is the first level certification from NetAcad as part of the Click Start program with the Open University that is being developed by the Institute of Coding and funded by Nominet. I'm going to introduce everybody in the next couple of slides so that you know who we are. But it's important to remember we've got everybody's microphones and cameras disabled. So if you've got any questions, do ask in chat, and Jane and Rachel may chip in just to let us know what your questions are, because obviously we'll be in full flight doing a lot of talking during this session. We're going to do introductions. We're going to look at the benefits of certification, explore in detail the Cisco CCST program, and obviously explored that there is a range of different certifications as well as cybersecurity. And we're going to actually look at some experiences from experts and educators, our good friends Elaine and Rebecca, and just give you a little bit of the bigger picture of where we've come from with the CyberCamp story, and then to just talk in detail a little bit at the end of the session about the certifications that are on offer and how you may take the certification. So I think we should do introductions first. And I think, Elizabeth, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
I am at the top of the list, so I will start. So good afternoon/evening, everyone. I'm Elizabeth. I work at Cisco and I lead the Cisco Networking Academy program in the UK, Ireland, and Nordic regions.
And I think I'm going to go, Rebecca, would you mind introducing yourself next, please?
Hello, I'm Rebecca Harrop. I am a senior lecturer in cybersecurity at the University of Bedfordshire, and amongst other things. I'm also a long-time NetAcad instructor, so I've been around for a while.
Okay, thank you very much, Rebecca. Elaine, your good self, please.
Hi everyone. I'm Elaine Haig. I've taught cybersecurity for a number of years. I've taught in FE at college, another university, and I've been at Cardiff University for 2 years. I currently teach networking with some elements of cybersecurity in that. It's a year 2 module. And one of the first things I did when I came to Cardiff University 2 years ago was to introduce them to Packet Tracer and NetAcad. And the students really appreciated that. And my other role, I'm also Director of Learning and Teaching. So we're revalidating our courses at the moment, trying to bring the modules up to date a bit. And I'm also a CyberFirst ambassador with the CyberFirst scheme with the NCSC.
Thank you. And that's why we think you're cool, Elaine. Hi, so obviously I'm Andrew Smith and I'm a senior lecturer in networking. That's not the social networking, that's the network engineering, the infrastructure engineering. I've been working in the industry for a very long time, working with Cisco and other organizations to teach network engineering and cybersecurity. So a lot of the time when you're being taught in a school or a college or a university, I've probably worked with organizations to help individuals like yourself learn about computer science or computer networking. So I think we should move on to the slides. I'm going to be the one powering the slides, and for most of the start. Elizabeth's going to sort of give a sort of background on the benefits of certification and why certifications are important. So over to you, Elizabeth. And of course, you can shout next slide, please, Andrew.
Indeed, I will. So yeah, I will be talking a bit about, well, firstly, starting with the benefits of certifications and why they're important. And then I'll be talking about the different CCST or Cisco Certified Support Technician, because we love an acronym at Cisco, the different certifications, and then going into a bit more detail about what's covered within those. So starting with the benefits of certification, I think here on the right, you can see a few statistics that are actually really compelling and very much speak for themselves. So in 2023, Pearson VUE did a report on the value of IT certifications. They found that 99% of organizations surveyed use technical certifications to make hiring decisions. 91% of employers believe that IT certifications are a reliable predictor of a successful employee. And then 81% of employers associate IT certification holders with increased quality and value of work contribution. So, you know, certifications make a huge difference. It's something that employers, whether that's a tech company or if you're working in the IT department of another organization, they very much look at it because it's an industry recognized, internationally recognized credential that's, you know, really adds a lot of weight in hiring decisions. If we move to the next slide. Okay, so a bit more about the Cisco Certified Support Technician or CCST certification. I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot throughout these slides, so just getting that out the way. So firstly, backpedaling a little bit. So Cisco has been producing training and writing certifications for many, many years now. The Cisco Networking Academy has been around for 28 years this year, and our other learning and training programs for even longer. You may have heard of certifications like CCNA, for example. That's probably our most well-known certification. But I think the problem that we found a few years ago is that we have these certifications like CCNA, but they're not truly entry level. You know, to do something like a CCNA, learners do need a good bit of background knowledge before embarking on a certification like that, or a certification at a similar level with another vendor. And that's why we introduced the CCST certifications to be an entry-level cert that takes a learner from beginner to preparing them for further opportunities, whether that is going into more advanced vendor certifications or more advanced training and education elsewhere, or into employment. So it's very much a certification at the entry-level space. As mentioned on the last slide, it's a great way for job seekers to prove their skills via third-party verification. So a really great way of boosting employability, and it validates your professional skills in disciplines such as networking and cybersecurity. Later on in the presentation, we'll talk a bit more about progression pathways and stepping stones into other routes after the CCST. And then a key point as well is that the CCST certification is for life. Once accredited, you retain it forever, which is a big bonus, I think.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And one of the important things we recognise at the Open University is that we're now using CCST as part of our undergraduate programmes to link as a pathway up to the more advanced associate certifications. It's important that students out there are seeking to get a degree in computer science, network and cyber, AI, or whatever. However, in our industry globally, these certifications are highly regarded and internationally recognized, and having a lifelong certification as the CCST is a high value first step towards a career in digital, in IT, in cyber, in whatever. So it's very useful for us to work with Cisco to enable people to get that value, to get that opportunity, and to get recognized, so that when they do become good technical professionals, that certification's made the difference for them. So back to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, absolutely. A great way of helping yourselves to stand out from the crowd. So this slide is a little bit outdated, but still holds 100% true in that, you know, many people think, okay, if I'm going to work in a cybersecurity role or a networking role, I can only work for a big tech company like Cisco or Microsoft or Google. When the reality is that now almost every company is a digital company, and all organizations need protection from cyber threats. We're seeing a huge amount of demand growing across industries such as healthcare, transportation, energy, food, water, smart cities. So, working towards careers in areas like cybersecurity, networking, and other digital roles is really in demand, and that demand is only going to increase, not just in the IT sector, but across many other industries as well. We'll move to the next slide. Thank you. So now looking a bit into the different CCST pathways. So the first one is the Cisco Certified Support Technician in Networking. Then we have the specialism in cybersecurity, and then finally IT support, which is a bit of the newer CCST pathway that we've been developing. Here you can see some related job roles. So if you were to pursue the CCST in networking, you could be looking at careers in things like network support technician or IT support technician, working on a help desk or as an IT support specialist. On the cybersecurity pathway, you're looking more into the cybersecurity specialism. So roles like a cyber technician, a junior cybersecurity analyst, also working on the help desk, or a security operations analyst. And then finally, with IT support, you could be looking at roles like IT end user support, again, help desk support, computer support specialist, or IT help desk analyst. So you can see that these certs are preparing you for quite broad roles. So I'll start with this slide and then hand over to you, Andrew, to talk a bit more about the context within the ClickStart project. But here you can see not just the different roles that they're aligned to, but the types of skills that you're picking up through the different CCST courses. So for CCST networking here on the left, this is really about gaining entry-level networking concepts and knowledge. So foundational knowledge of network operations, also touching on topics like endpoints and media types, and then network support and security. Then for the CCST cybersecurity, which naturally, given that you need to understand how a network works before you are securing it, there is a fair amount of overlap between the two pathways. But the cybersecurity one is more focused and specialized in cybersecurity, and will validate skills and knowledge of things like cybersecurity principles, vulnerability assessment and risk management, and incident handling. We also have the CCST IT support, which is a bit of a newer qualification that we've been working on with the Cisco Networking Academy. So we're looking to see this emerge on the NetSCAD platform around September of 2025 this year. So Andrew, did you want to talk a bit about the alignment to ClickStart?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I mean, the IT support's a fantastic qualification. It's very exciting to see what is coming out. Politely, it's frustrating that it's not going to be available until September, because we would have loved to have probably shown everybody on this program it. However, the CCST cybersecurity is the way forward, and it's powerful because it's a superset of many of the skills you'll see in the IT support and in the network as well. As Elizabeth correctly points out, who will be any good at cybersecurity if they don't know how a network works? After all, where do most of the attack vectors come from? So you'll find that the networking basics and support courses that you're already doing is within both the CCST networking and the CCST cybersecurity before you branch off or dig down into the cybersecurity specialisms. And there is a suite of courses that we've specifically mapped out for you, that if you do each one in turn, gain the badge from each one, and obviously there is a certificate of completion as well. You build up a set of badges till you're then ready to take the certification preparation course as well, which you'll get a badge for, and we'll talk about the certification at the end of this slide deck. But the important thing is, by gaining each of these badges, you can then immediately put those via Credly onto your LinkedIn profiles and already prove to prospective employers that you're potentially employable, or at least develop that professional personal persona as well. So For Clickstart, it's all about CCST cybersecurity, but you can see that you've actually got a wealth of other opportunities available at the same time whilst taking this program with the Open University. So moving on to the next slide and back over to Elizabeth.
Super. So this slide here, and I think a couple of the other ones that we've got in the deck are really around potential career progression opportunities after the CCST cybersecurity analyst. And obviously cybersecurity is such a broad field that this definitely isn't the only options that you've got available, but just some of them that you might be interested in considering. So loosely speaking, we can sort of segment the cybersecurity career progression opportunities into red team and blue team. So on the red team, you have more offensive security. So here as a professional, you might be trying to get into the mind of a bad actor and trying to identify, potential weaknesses and threats to your systems. So as a next step, you could move into a role in ethical hacking. We have the ethical hacker certification and course that we can talk a bit more about later on as well. And then a step up from there into professional, you might go into a role around vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Then on the blue team, so the defensive security, here you are putting up the barriers for defense. So things like firewalls or multi-factor authentication, working in the SOC or the Security Operations Center. So here you might be looking at a career within the SOC as an analyst at level 1 and then level 2 in the professional. And then more on the sort of, defensive side around network firewall security engineer, or you could look to become a network security architect at the professional level. And you can see as well with the white circles on the different roles, some example certifications from the Cisco Networking Academy that are aligned. So yes, lots of different progression pathways. These are definitely not the only ones, but just a flavor of some of the things that you might move into after the CCST Cyber.
And the great thing is our friends at Cisco are already updating these certifications and coming out with new, more sort of current technology-specific certifications as well. And that's the joy of working in this industry. It's very much lifelong learning. Cybersecurity is never going to stay static, and being able to maintain your professional profile and demonstrate that you're professionally capable is essential in this field. And Cisco are one of many that provide a range of certifications that are highly recognized within the sector and make the difference for people's employability and career prospects. So back to you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point there, Andrew, is that with vendor programs like the Cisco Networking Academy, we're always updating our courses and exams to make sure that they are relevant, and reflecting new trends that we're seeing within industry. So updating existing ones and then introducing new ones as well, hence the development of the CCST cybersecurity in the first place. But yeah, this slide here shows some potential next steps that you might take in certifications. So I've already mentioned the CCNA, the Cisco Certified Network Associate, which is typically our most well-known Cisco cert. But then on the cybersecurity side, you've got the Cisco Certified Cyber Ops Associate. And then also more recently, we've developed the Cisco Ethical Hacker, which is actually proving to be a really popular certification as well. So yeah, whether you're looking to go into employment immediately or looking to get further certifications, then there's lots of opportunities. And the CCST cybersecurity is really designed to be a stepping stone and a springboard into these future opportunities.
Yes, and the top 2 out of the 3 are already been provided by the Open University. And Ethical Hacker, we provide a different alternative at the moment, but Cisco have only brought this out in the last year, and let's just say we're very interested in exploring ways that we might start including that in our provision in the future as well. Just sometimes our friends at Cisco release them so quick, we have to catch up, like many other academic organizations have to as well.
Super. So on the NetAcad platform, and I can pop a link in the chat when I'm finished presenting as well, we put together a series of sample job descriptions for different roles within cybersecurity, because one of the big questions that we were getting from students is, okay, I've done the, let's say, CCST cybersecurity course. what kind of jobs does this prepare me for? What kind of jobs are there in cybersecurity, and what might I be doing in these roles? So this example here is with the cybersecurity analyst. So you can see that as a cybersecurity analyst, you would be a security operations personnel that supports and participates in cybersecurity related activities, including things like vulnerability assessment, incident handling, and security reporting and documentation. You've got different aliases here, so different roles that someone might call a cybersecurity analyst, expected experience level, which is 0 to 1 years, and then also some of the key skills that you would need to be in this role, which are aligned to the CCST cybersecurity certification. But I'll pop that link in chat, as there are some other examples of different job roles in cybersecurity as well. And then this slide here shows a breakdown of what the CCST cybersecurity is. You might have heard of lots of different course names and think, okay, what actually is included within the CCST cybersecurity? So it is composed of 6 courses in total, starting with a very short introduction to cybersecurity. But you can see that the main courses here are the endpoint security, the network defense, and then the cyber threat management. So as Andrew mentioned there, you're doing the courses and collecting your digital badges as you go along. And then at the end of completing the entire pathway, you're ready to sit your CCST cybersecurity exam to get that, industry credential and qualification. And then at the bottom, we've already touched on some of the potential entry-level jobs that you might explore, or additional learning, whether that's through NetAcad or other vendor programs. Anything else you wanted to add here, Andrew?
Yeah, I was just going to point out to everybody from the ClickStart program, Elizabeth just mentioned a 6-hour short course at the start. This is the only one we haven't offered you, because we have the Cybersecurity Foundations, which is a badged course, which is more extensive and gives you a broader breadth into the sort of cybersecurity field. So we've married that with the CCST to build your breadth and then your depth within the cybersecurity discipline. So we've made sure that you've enjoyed best of both worlds. But thank you, Elizabeth. It is a great 6-hour course. It's just we're using a slightly different program that we've built in the past. So thank you, Elizabeth, for this part. We're now going to move on and start introducing our cybercamp project. And the reason that we want to talk about cybercamps is this is what we did before we did ClickStart. And last couple of years, I've had the privilege of working with some excellent cybersecurity experts, introducing cybersecurity to girls and young women using the Cisco Cybersecurity Technician project. And what makes this quite interesting is so far, Elizabeth, myself, and the others I'm going to introduce you to have already managed to reach about 1,500 girls and young women, and enabling them to explore a professional route into cybersecurity. Because the challenge we have in the UK, actually internationally, is the low number of female cybersecurity experts. It was at about 9%. We've now tilted it to about 19% within our community. However, you don't need to be a mathematician to know that it should be somewhere near 50% if there is to be parity in our sector. And what we've seen is, by working with the girls and young women, and we're working with these cybersecurity experts, that we know this will work for 18 to 30 plus year olds as well. So I'd like to introduce a wonderful range of people. I mean, you might even recognize a couple of names, and some of you might even recognize Bryony, our Scottish cybersecurity expert, who's also been chatting to some of you within our ClickStart forums as well. Nicole over in Northern Ireland, and obviously we've got Elizabeth, Rebecca, and Elaine, all cybersecurity experts. And in part supporting the work we're doing on Clickstar, in part supporting the work we do at the Open University, and in part supporting, the great work of teaching cybersecurity to so many people out there. So I think it's important, and I'm going to ask two cybersecurity experts, first Elaine and then Rebecca, to answer this pejorative question. Obviously, we can't time travel backwards. Relativity doesn't allow us to do that. But if we were our younger selves, paradoxes notwithstanding, would you choose CCST Cyber? And if so, why? Elaine first, please.
So, yes, I definitely would. When I was 18, I mean that's quite some time ago now. And when I was 18, we didn't have the internet really. I was they introduced computing O level when I was in school, and they had one BBC Basic computer, and 15 boys put their name down for that course. And I just thought, I'm never going to get my hands on that computer, so I didn't. And I got into computing a little bit later. I did a degree. But I didn't really discover cybersecurity until much, much, much later on. So I had a degree and I had a master's in computer science. When I was younger, I used to love puzzles. Like I said, we didn't have the internet, so I couldn't look things up. But I always used to try and do code breaking and things. I used to enter competitions. I remember once I translated the runes on an Ozzy Osbourne LP with nothing but the Silmarillion.
Sorry, I've just got to cut in there. I've just got nothing but respect for you now, Elaine.
I mean, I didn't know they were
Talking about Silmarillion and Ozzy Osbourne all in the same statement. Sorry, this is a personal moment and professional at the same time.
And this is the brilliant thing about forums like this when you get to work with some brilliant old school people. But yeah, I didn't have the internet. I didn't know they were actual runes. I couldn't translate it, but they looked like dwarfish, so that did me. And but even though I'd done computing, I had no awareness that there was actually fun stuff like that in computing until I started teaching it. And at that point, I thought, oh, well, I wish I'd known about this when I was younger and I was into all this kind of stuff and code breaking and things because I was quite good at that and that would have been an excellent career for me. So, yes, I wish I'd known about it and it is very interesting. I'm really glad I found it now. I still really enjoy it. There's just so many different aspects to cybersecurity that aren't your standard computing or IT stuff. There's lots of things about the way that people interact with machines. There's lots of ethical issues that I'm really interested in. There's lots of interesting puzzle solving and problem solving stuff, which again I'm naturally drawn to. I was at a conference last week on Wednesday. It was the Women in Cyber conference held in Wales. And we had Felicity Oswald there, who's the Chief Operating Officer for the NCSC. If you don't know what the NCSC is and you're interested in cybersecurity, then look that up. And she was talking about the number of women in cyber. She gave a percentage of 17% women in industry and cybersecurity. But she was talking to the women in the room. We also had a bunch of school children there who had won the Wales heats of the Cyber First Girls competition, which is a CTF. And she was talking to them about how at Bletchley Park, which you may have heard of during the war, 85% of the employees there working on code breaking during the war were actually women. And how resilient those women were and how they weren't always recognized for their skills. But so things have actually got worse in some ways. We have fewer women involved. And she was also talking about her history and how, talking about the things that she used to do in previous roles. And basically, she said to people, if you're interested in cybersecurity, you can do any kind of job, right from keeping networks secure to being a spy, because that's what she used to do. And this is the really interesting thing, and that's why I wish I'd known more about cybersecurity, even though it wasn't really called that back in those days. But I wish somebody had just told me all about this stuff when I was 18, and my life could have been completely different. So that's why I would choose it now if I had the chance.
That was fantastic. And the reality is, I know we weren't in the same school. I would have been one of those 15 boys probably hogging the computer with the O level. I'm sorry, I apologize for all boys out there, but that's what we do as well. Yeah, that is the nature of us. Rebecca, over to your good self. And if you are going to time travel with paradoxes notwithstanding, would you choose the CCST cyber? And if so, why, Rebecca?
I think Elaine and myself are giving away our ages here, because I think I've got similar stories actually. But for short of stealing a DeLorean, if we're going to make time travel,
Only if you've got a flux capacitor.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my upbringing was very similar. At the start of the advent of the computer, I used to genuinely go to Marks and Spencer's of all places and buy a book from Marks and Spencer's that taught you how to program and painfully type in all the code with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lines of code, and then cross your fingers and hope it was really, really going to compile, which it never did, to make a really, really teeny tiny little game. And then you would effectively, you had tape recorders, you'd save it all on tape recorder and play it through for 25 minutes to load up on the computer. But we were tinkerers through and through, and I think that that's exactly what people are. I used to take things to pieces and try and put them back together again, usually with one piece left over. And at some point during this, you're going to come across configuring things and playing around with things and tinkering with stuff and breaking stuff. And that's exactly what the CCST gives you experience of. I mean, I do networking now in my day job, and we're playing on the real things, but Packet Tracer and playing around with some of that stuff lets you simulate doing network design and then breaking it and fixing it and seeing how you can exploit it or get from one place to another inside that environment. And I'd have adored that. I'd have taken that home. I'd have made giant Packet Tracer networks that extended all over the place and really enjoyed myself. And I think it's that, if you've got that kind of we're back to puzzle solving again, the ability to want to poke something and see where that leads you and break it and see if you can fix it. And that's kind of exactly the key kind of characteristics that you need. We hear about cyber attacks happening every single week. Everybody's been hacked. So much so that I think as a general population, we're becoming a little bit complacent to it now. We're kind of like listening to it and going, oh, okay, it's just another one, right? But there's TFL and British Library and 1 minute and US Treasury and the NHS the next, and it's every single time. It's a really, really valuable subject that we really, really need to know about. Everybody needs it. It's almost every organisation we've gone even just within the last, because I was predominantly network defense first and learned network security before the word cyber wasn't even around. I did hear someone say to me that if you add the word cyber, he loved it when they added cyber into network security, because it just meant you could add £20,000 onto everybody's salary if you just stuck the word cyber in it, which they're probably not wrong. But it means that you're in a really, we've gone from this place sort of about even 10, 15 years ago, where people were saying if the companies get attacked, if people get cyber attacked, to now we absolutely and utterly just take it as a foregone conclusion that it's when. And it's thousands and thousands and thousands of attempts a day, and everybody needs a cyber incident response team, and people need pen testers to see how they would get in if they could. So it's such a good course and such a good introduction to a subject that's desperately needed, and which there are very, very clear skill shortages in. And there's all sorts of parts to it. There is the configuration part, and there's the tinkering part, but there's also the risk assessment part and the working out the assets of the organization part. There's the being able to speak to C-level executives' part and try and persuade them how it's not a very sensible plan to be using certain personal devices for things in their networks and being able to have those communications. So there's something for everybody within cyber. So you don't have to worry that you're not necessarily that technical minded, or if you are technical minded, there's loads to get your teeth into. So yeah, absolutely, I'd have been all over it if I was in my DeLorean.
Hmm. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you very much. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the beauties of our profession now. There's always something new to learn. There's always something to keep you fresh and keep you up to date and go, yeah, lots of aha moments, aren't there? Always aha moments. And some moments as well, but that's also part of the professional fun. So cybersecurity, it's a profession where there's always going to be something new. And one of the joys and one of the reasons we've combined AI and cybersecurity is not just because of their popularity on the Click Start program. We know that there are AI-driven cybersecurity attack vectors out there. I talk to the professionals that are doing the defense, and they know that some of the attacks coming through are changing too quickly for them to be human-driven. So yeah, knowing both fields is now very important. You know, you need to be an expert in cybersecurity, but you need to understand what generative AI is doing to actually drive that attack as well. So thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Elaine. It's been wonderful to listen to your experiences. And yeah, we're all giving away that we're a little bit older, but who cares? It's great fun still being in the profession and doing all of this clever techie stuff. So finally, and importantly, Elizabeth and I are going to briefly talk about getting the certification, but we know that this is going to be some time away for you. So the aim of the CCST is that we are going to get you through all the digitally badged courses. All these badges and certificates of completion are important and valuable. And then there's a preparation exam. And then if you choose, you could go and take the CCST certification exam at a Certiport testing centre, or through an online testing setup that Certiport offer as well. And you can search for them. It's a 50-minute exam. Now, we say 40 to 45 questions because we cannot predict and they will not tell you how many you have. And it's quite similar to the checkpoint exam style assessments that you're already doing. And yes, it is available in English. There are other languages available as well. And sorry, I've just skipped the slide ahead too quickly there. And the important thing to understand is it's lifetime certification with no expiration. Is there anything you want to add to that, Elizabeth?
No, I think you've covered that really well. I guess to say that the digital badges themselves are really valuable, but the certification is just really a level above. You know, it's something that an employer will look at and say, okay, they've gone to a testing centre, they've passed the exam within examination conditions. And yeah, it's a really great way of standing out from the crowd, and that it doesn't expire.
Yeah, and the badges are, that's nice and that's valuable. The certificates of completion, that's nice, that's valuable. But from an international recognition and employability recognition perspective, the certification is what truly counts, and that's the true step up. And the badges and certificates of completion are the steps towards gaining that. What we do like to let you know is there is a retake policy. We're not going to say that you're going to fail, but sometimes students think, well, if I'm going to take this certification, what happens if I don't pass? And we don't know what the passing grade is. Usually it's 80% or higher. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, because these things fluctuate according to international averages. If you retake on the first retake attempt, you've got a 24-hour grace period, but obviously you're going to pay another £100 to retake the exam. If you fail a second time, they make you take a longer break. And that way then they're not, you're not wasting your money constantly retaking. They're trying to get you to prepare for the exam. And that way, from our experience, we try and prepare everybody by taking the badges and taking the prep exam, that you should be able to take it on your first attempt and not actually need to have to retake policies enacted. But what also is quite important is you can actually look up what's called accommodations as well, and you can actually submit to the testing centre a reasonable adjustment, which means that if you've got to have in-person support for any physical need, or you've got to have extra time for any cognitive or physical need, the testing centre will handle this, not the Open University. Just the testing centre or the online testing centre will then make sure that you're accommodated accordingly. This is something that the Open University cannot support you with. However, we will encourage you, if you believe that you're entitled to a reasonable adjustment and you're wishing to take the certification exam, it's something you should consider applying for as well. And I've just noticed that this slide is automatically numbered itself as 1 all the way down, which is quite amusing how it managed to do that. So on that, I think we've covered a great deal about the certifications, the CCST, and the excellent opportunities that will bring to you. And I'd like to thank Elizabeth for spending her time to come and talk to us at ClickStart. And I'd like to thank Elaine and Rebecca, who are excellent partners in crime in my ward, for being willing to come and spend the time with us from sunny Wales and sunny Bedfordshire to sort of speak to us tonight as part of the ClickStart programme. So I'm going to stop the share now and leave it open to see if there's any questions that people would like to ask us in the chat.
I noticed there was a Q&A on is 37 too old to start doing cyber? Never.
No.
No.
Us 29-year-olds plus VAT say that's perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, any age is old enough.
We have loads of people who decide to also have career changes at certain points and come along and do it. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, lifelong learning, and I'm still learning new things.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not for career changes, but we did have a 97-year-old student on one of our cybersecurity courses of NetAcad. So
a mere child. Yeah, so we do it as part of the Open University. Some of the CCST is now being embedded into one of our entry modules on the first year. The CCNA is second and third year of the degree. And we've also got DevOps and CyberOps and NetSec in place as well. And we also do it on postgraduate. So yes, Gregory, you asked, is there any training? Very much so, and we embed it as part of our academic delivery. Is this course equivalent to the CompTIA Network Plus? Yes and no is the polite answer. It covers a lot of the Network Plus provision, but there are other elements of Network Plus around servers and services that it does not cover. So Jane and I have both of us have a long-standing relationship, as does Rebecca, Elaine, and others with CompTIA, and we say it's a fantastic complementary program, but it's not 100% one-to-one. Okay, where can we start studying to get employment? So do study this, do the ClickStart from end to end, and get the certification and get the badges, and that will help you get in the employment. Do look at the degrees from the Open University, but also from our friends at Cardiff and the University of Bedfordshire as well. We are not partisan. We're biased, but we're not partisan. Because if it works for you to study at the Uni of Bedfordshire or Cardiff University or the Open University, we're totally open to how you would explore the opportunity. So the AI component, sorry, I'm lots of questions all at the same time. So I'm going to take questions in order. Can you get grants or apprenticeships for further Cisco qualifications? Grants, it will depend on your region or the nation that you're in. And I don't know the exact answer to that question, but sometimes you have to Google and search and look at your local combined authority or development agency, and there may be opportunity. Yes, there are apprenticeships that are linked to courses, and yes, there are a level 4 networking apprenticeship at the Open University and other universities aligned to. So there are employers that will offer apprenticeship opportunities in this space, and there's a lot of employers, and we work with about 40 apprenticeship organizations that do offer this. With the AI, with this course, how does the AI component feed into? They are two separate strands. However, I would advise you to become, there's nothing stopping you doing the AI strand and also doing the CCST strand, and you'll start seeing the relationships. And there are good universities now doing AI degrees and cyber degrees as well. And it's being prepared for the fact that sometimes you've got to flick-flack between the two. So as a old school computer scientist that became a networking engineer, that became a cyber expert, and now learning AI and discovering that I was probably doing AI 30 years ago. You'll discover that computer science is a field where you tend to mix and match very much all these different skills and disciplines at different time. So what I would advise is go and hammer down and get the AI first if that's what you want to do, or hammer down and get the CCST first if that's what you want to do, and then change over and do the other one, and then you'll become much stronger for knowing both simultaneously. The level that Click Start teaches up to is what we would call professional entry level, or getting you into a position where you can progress onto higher courses. So Click Start, by its title, is designed to help you sort of get into the industry or get you into academia, or both. And one of the power of the Open University and our friends at Cardiff and Bedfordshire is we offer programs where you could be working and developing your professional profile and getting academic recognition and career recognition at the same time. Okay, Girl Campstone Cyber Foundations. It's a time limit to completing the course. Click Start is very much, we're aiming to have you all finished sooner rather than later, and ideally by the summer. So ideally by summertime, we're hoping that most of you will have finished the pathway, or some of you may choose both pathways. Some of you may choose to just do a couple of the badges within the courses, but the more of you, obviously, that would get it done sooner by the summer, the better it will be. Okay, sorry, that was a quick round of questions. And I noticed, Lee, you've asked how long would the course take? The CCST combined with the Cyber Foundations, it's about 120 to 140 hours of study. But how long it takes to study is very much down to the individual. So some of you we know will get this done sooner or quicker than others, just depending on the time, your experience, and what else is going on in your lives, because we're all very busy people, aren't we? Okay. Is there anything you would like to add, either Elaine, Elizabeth, or Rebecca? Because obviously we've got the questions sort of flying up the screen, and I probably think that you're also experts in this field as well.
Always be wary of somebody who says they're an expert.
Yeah, I know.
Don't be the worry. I think you covered that really well there. I think along the way, somebody asked about the apprenticeships, and I was going to chip in and say, if you're already working for an organisation, it's worth sometimes asking your organisation whether there's shuffle room or the chance to take an apprenticeship opportunity with them. especially if you know you're in a certain field, you're working, I don't know, for HR or something, but think about going to cyber. They might indeed have a cybersecurity team that would welcome you and be able to support you. So you can sometimes do it internally if you're already in employment.
Yeah, and don't just take no as an answer, because there are always other employers available, and there are people desperate for good cybersecurity experts,
Yeah.
and they are looking for diversity. It's the difference that makes the difference. Cybersecurity, and as the only middle-aged white man in the room, I am going to mention it. We need fewer of me, because we need more people that think differently, whether it's neurodiversity, cultural diversity, or gender diversity.
Yeah, because it's not just done in silo. And similarly, I think also talking of silos as well, like you talked about doing the different strands of the cybersecurity or AI. Well, absolutely, obviously AI is a big hot topic at the moment, as it well should be. But again, in the same way that we said you couldn't do cyber without knowing how networks worked, you can't do AI in isolation from everything else, because it's all dependent upon one another. They're interrelated, right? So the more kind of strings that you have to your bow, the more bits that you know, actually the more valuable you are. I think it's quite interesting. AI is being used in cybersecurity both for good and for bad. You know, you've got it doing incident response automation and stuff, and network automation, but you've also got it, writing 15,000 different pretexts for all those DPD delivery packages that you should be getting, right? And making you click malicious links and giving you reasons for it. So it's a battle that's going on at the moment. I think it's really good to have different skills in pieces and stop working in isolation, have a better picture.
Indeed, I mean, that's the power. Everything requires network engineering as a core skill, in so much as, where's the cybersecurity attacks coming from? Where does Gen AI learn from? And that networking basics course that sits within the CCST portfolio is a very powerful segue between the world of cyber networking and AI as well. And will CCST course help you get into data analyst? It will do you no harm, but a data analyst is another skill yet again. You need to know how the network works in order to scrape data. But it's think of the analogy as a Swiss Army. So I don't know if you're going to show you on camera a Swiss Army knife. All knives have a blade. You need to learn to be the blade and learn networking basics. And then you need to develop each of the tools in order to explore what career potential you may have. And on that, I'm just mindful that we're 5 minutes from top of the hour and 5 minutes from the end of this session. So I'd love to now sort of just wind down the session, unless any of my esteemed colleagues have got anything else to add. And
nothing to add. I think you've covered everything really well. Just if you're unsure, give it a go.
Yeah, just do it.
Not to steal that from a well-known
trainer brand that I definitely do not wear. Doc Martens do not say just do it. Okay, thank you, Melissa. And I just thank Rebecca, Elaine, and Elizabeth again. And Jane, thank you for putting up with me. And Rachel, just thank you for managing all the sort of chat that's going on and copying and pasting a few things from Q&A as well.